We're at the Georgia-Florida game, reporting for Jacksonville.com. This is Gene Frenette, sports columnist for the Florida Times-Union, with University of Florida beat writer Mike Dirocco. After the Gators' ridiculously easy 49-10 victory over Georgia, one of the most anticipated games in the series history, and it turned out to be one of the most lopsided. 4 Georgia turnovers, 3 which led to 21 Gator points. And suddenly a game that many anticipated would be maybe one of the most dramatic in history turned out to virtually be one of the most disappointing. Mike, what happened to Georgia out there? Because it certainly looked like they imploded, and Florida played about as good as it could play, at least on defense.
Yeah, there was a lot of uncharacteristic mistakes by Georgia. You don't forget they missed 2 field goals, had an interception called back because of a penalty. It was just a total meltdown. Some of those throws Matt Stafford made were just terrible. And no Sean Moreno, no room to run. Florida did a good job clamping him down. I thought Florida's defense obviously last year did not play well in this game, and this certainly was one of those statement games for that defense. Early on, it looked like Georgia might have some success with the pass, but they made a couple of big plays in the interceptions, and then got to Stafford. It was an embarrassment by the Georgia Bulldogs.
The Gators take control of the SEC East race now. Destiny is within their hands, and they're also getting a little bit of help tonight, also from Texas Tech. If Texas Tech holds on to beat number 1 Texas, all of a sudden the door might be open for the Gators again to make another national championship run, just like they did 2 years ago with a defensive-oriented team.
Right, just like '96 too. Yeah, obviously they get to the SEC championship game. They'll probably play Alabama, number 2 ranked in the country, number 2 in the BCS. So we'll obviously get a chance to see what happens in the next several weeks. They'll need some help, obviously. Penn State's still unbeaten. Texas Tech, if they win, they'll still be unbeaten. They'll need a little help. But you know what? This defense, it's not as great as that 2016 by any stretch of the imagination, but it's good enough, and they're making key plays when it counts.
Last year on this same field at Jacksonville Municipal Stadium, no Sean Marino gashed the University of Florida with 188 rushing yards on 33 carries, and he controlled the tempo of that game. Tonight, on the second play of the game, Brandon Spikes, the linebacker for Florida, thumps no Sean Marino for no gain, and it really kind of resonated with the Gator sideline, and it just seemed like from that point on, Florida was determined not to let Marino beat them as badly as he did last year, and without Stafford being able to do what Stafford normally does, this game just turned into a cakewalk. And I'm sure for at least half of the 84,600 fans that were here, many of them walked out in the third quarter in stunned disbelief. But for Gator Nation, this had to be the ultimate payback.
Yeah, especially after the celebration last year. That was something that annoyed Florida fans and players and coaches, despite the coaches downplaying it and the players downplaying it. It was a source of annoyance, and it was something that motivated them throughout the offseason. This was a win that they desperately needed. Just forget about the fact it's a rivalry game. Forget about the celebration too. You want to get to Atlanta if you're Florida and play for the SEC championship. They had to have it. It was certainly an emotional victory. Every year when a team has a great season like Florida did in 2006, there's always that victory that's sort of the turning point, or the thing that kind of boost a team, and this might be it for Florida. Back then I think it was the victory over South Carolina in 2006 at home, the blocked field goal, and that kind of helped them along, and this might be one that does it for them this year. Well,
certainly the celebration that Florida is going to feel tonight is going to probably carry on for not only for several days, but maybe for weeks. This was the worst loss in Mark Richt's coaching era at Georgia, the second worst loss that Florida had ever pinned on Georgia in this series, surpassed only by the 47-7 defeat back in 1996. But for the Gators, they now control their destiny in the SEC East, and they got a game coming up at Vanderbilt. But it's going to be hard I think for Gator Nation to ever eclipse the feeling that they had leaving this stadium here tonight. Reporting for Jacksonville.com from the Florida-Georgia game, this is Gene Frenette and Mike Dirocco for Jacksonville.com.